go! Video games. What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for over 350 episodes.
Some might even argue too many episodes, and those people are assholes, but we love them anyway. Yeah, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Chase R. Thank you, Chase. I think it's been almost exactly a year since you were last Dude of the week.
Very nice.
Chase.
That was his due day.
It's somewhere around his due day. But also, as always, we have a sponsor to thank, and it's new year, new you, new pubes, new balls.
Hopefully no new pubes. Well, there will be new pubes, but there's a way to combat that.
I mean, it's kind of whatever length or style you like your pubes, you have the perfect partner in Manscaped. And they have, I mean, from head to toe, they cover you on grooming, and it's kind of the perfect time of year to start a new grooming habit.
That's right. Head to toe, tip to shaft.
Tip to taint.
Tip to taint.
Yeah, I don't. Are you? By the way, are you trying any new grooming standards? Maybe you're going to do like some shapes in the pubes. Like
well,
an arrow
there
or
is.
A thumbs
Well,
up?
on the pube friend. No, I'm always a big fan of the lawnmower 4.0. Like,
which I have right now.
I go in there, like a lumberjack with a vendetta.
Deep.
So,
it's just
our Canadian followers, our Canadian listeners can understand, especially if you live in Northwest Territories.
Yeah. But it is kind of the new time to do your grooming habits. I sort of have the old standby of the crop preserver, which we use and love, and of course the Boxers 2.0, which we both use and love, and have actually tried to sell people on, like the Boxers being super comfy, like a comfy little hammock that cuddles your
Very
ball.
comfy.
Actually, I'm wearing them right now. I just realized.
There you go.
But they have a wide array of other products, like a nose and ear trimmer for those of us that are blessed with lots and lots of hair everywhere but the top of our heads.
Yeah.
I get nose hair and ear hair like fucking crazy. I use a razor more on my fucking ears than anywhere else. And this guy has been a lifesaver because razor burn on your ears and shit. No good.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you were that ballsy, but
well, I mean, when you get ear hair like I did or do, it's real pain in this thing. That's lifesaver. Way better than way more comfortable than a razor, I should say. I don't know how to quantify better in this instance, but I love it. Another thing that I love is the flashlight on the Lawnmower 4.0, and Manscaped even has some new stuff coming out that's made just for me, and we'll get to talk about it soon. But that's a routine we're going to talk about in the next couple of weeks. If you want to check out any of these products, you want to start a new routine, you want to make sure you don't drop the ball on your balls in 2023. Please head over to manscaped.com. Use our code YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. That's code YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Your balls will thank you. So we postponed the episode this week because it turns out there's a developer direct, or there was a developer direct this morning. So we held off for a day to record. And actually, kind of worth it. There was one surprise in there that I think was
yeah, for sure. Because I mean, it's been a rough year, over 12 months. I was gonna say year, but I'm like, I think it's been more than a year, but it's been rough for first party Xbox. Like Game Pass is still great, still a lot of like things that get added and stuff there. There's still a great deal
bunch of stuff here that's going into Game Pass.
But yeah, as far as like brand new first party content, it's not been an easy time to be an Xbox fan. I mean, no real first party games except like maybe Pentiment that came out in 2022 at all. They completely fucked Halo Infinite up.
Halo Infinite might be one of the biggest shocking letdowns I think probably in the last 5 years.
I mean, it's a very strong brand, a very strong IP, but there's the simple fact is that Halo 5 was not had a bit of a tepid response. Master Chief Collection was a disaster. It took years to like sort of like rebuild after releasing. And then Halo Infinite, with its massive amounts of delays and dropped modes and features, and it's just it's last three major Halo releases, not counting Halo Wars. I mean, it came out. I don't know if there was any problems with it, but like, I don't know if anyone played it. But like,
I
yeah,
played the original Halo Wars.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, I don't know what you do with that franchise.
Well,
Honestly.
I think that's the problem is they don't know what to do with the franchise.
Yeah,
Like
fair enough.
Halo Infinite has a similar problem to another game that was talked about today, Redfall, where just like you keep forgetting about it. Like it doesn't stay top of mind for anyone, right?
Yeah, well, a lot of that is just Redfall's problem is that it was announced and then it's getting kind of death looped, where like it
They
keeps getting
talked about it too
delayed.
much.
Yeah, and so they just keep talking about it. We've had multiple like gameplay presentations because like we had the teaser trailer, and now we've had multiple gameplay demonstrations where like you almost get to the point like you feel like you've played the game at this by now.
Right. And this one was pretty in depth where you saw like a good amount of gameplay. And I honestly don't know if that was a good thing. Like I don't really want to shit on this at all because I like the
Yeah,
concept. It's Left for
it
Dead but with vampires, but it
well,
looks
it's
so
not
slow.
apparently. So that's actually like a terrible job on marketing. It's actually Destiny with vampires. Um,
Destiny with
it
vampires.
is not level based. Um, it apparently it is, or at least just the way from what I understood from people who've like been way more and following this, because they're like, yeah, they advertise it. It looked totally like Left for
Hmm.
Vampires. It's not Left for Vampires. It's Destiny. It's a looter shooter, if anything. Um, but it also has a lot of like the arcane like stealth aspects, as we saw, with
Right.
multiple different ways to handle a situation. It's not just kind of like moving forward, horde of vampires shoot, cleanse horde, move forward, cleanse more horde, cleanse horde. It's not like that, quite like that. It's
I
much more like Destiny.
One compliment I got to say for it is especially that sniper rifle and that suppressed handgun. I really liked the look of.
Mm.
And some of the lighting effects I thought were really cool.
Yeah, and then you can see like the skill trees for characters and stuff too. So, I what it's nice that it got a release date. I'll say that.
It's got to be one of those things where you're going to have to play it in order to know anything really accurate about it. And I think that that's going to work
Yeah,
really hard against it. Granted, it's Game Pass, so you got nothing to lose. Get in there and check it out.
yeah. Game Pass is going to be the best thing for it because it's a multiplayer game. However, um, uh, again, I don't want to show on it too hard because there's nothing that really look bad about it, but it definitely there were times where they were showing gameplay. And I'm like, this is a video game hitting the checklist of
Things you
things
can do in a
put in a
yeah.
video game. All right, multiplayer mode. We have
Mhm.
unique, we have these little like cooldown abilities, looting guns, for this stuff. Just shooting the enemy that's like hovering in the air, blasting lasers at you, kind of thing.
Everything just moved so slow.
Yeah, your characters are certainly not
Why
vampires themselves,
were they doing that to make it so that it was easier to see what was going on for the video? Like, was the guy just not sprinting? Because the other characters, like
That's a
your
good
co-op
question.
teammates, seemed like they could move faster than you.
Yeah, that could be a thing where like, yeah, like for clarity purposes,
And
especially for
that's
people,
such a disservice.
it's like when you watch a pro play like a first person shooter, like a deathmatch, and they're basically moving like they're on, you know, 10 pounds of cocaine. It
Right. Yeah,
seems.
it's disorienting and
Yeah.
awful to watch.
Yeah. So
It's
that's
it
very possible.
it's why watching some of the top COD streamers is the worst. Like, why would you ever want to watch those streams? One, because they're not entertaining people. They're totally, utterly focused on what they're doing. They're professionals.
Yeah.
But two, they're like jittery and oh my god, it makes me feel sick.
It only makes sense if you're really in depth into that game and know exactly,
Right?
like
Yeah.
you're able to sort of like keep in sync with their brain for what they're doing, because otherwise it just looks like a blurry mess. right?
Right.
So yes, it's a really good. That's actually a really good observation. That like they might have been moving slow on purpose just to sort of
Make it easier to
which
follow.
is a double-edged sword, because then it makes the game look slow and uninteresting if you do that too much.
There's like another thing about the art style added to the slow and uninteresting. It was like uh, because it was moving slow, it made the art style look goofy rather than, I don't know,
Scary.
stylistic or scary. Yeah, it just made it look like I don't.
I'd almost say like too many like close-ups on like big vampire like hands
Right,
and
yeah, big hands,
claws.
big feet.
Yeah.
Like it felt like one, you were moving underwater, but two, just like nothing felt super scary in the game and like how they intended. So
But then again, I'd almost argue too that like being the fact that this is a multiplayer game, like
it's not meant to be scary, I
like
guess.
how scary can you really make this? It'd be interesting if someone really, I don't know if it would work, but it'd be interesting if someone really tried their damnedest to make a really terrifying multiplayer 4-player game. Like something that was like a 4-player shooter. But I guess there was that one game where I forget what it was called. It was like you descend down into a hive and try to like survive. It was like a more survival based horror co-op experience.
GTFO.
Yeah, GTFO. I
Yeah,
wanted to say
GTFO
Run
has
Like
some
Hell, but
pants.
it's not
Yeah.
Run Like Hell. It's GTFO.
It does have some pants shitting moments. I played several hours of it and I liked it. But there is some moments where it's just like there's a lot of like oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, like that kind of fear. It's not necessarily like it's spoopy and I'm scared. It's more
Mhm.
like at any moment I could get screwed here.
Yeah.
Um, I do think that that's something that I want in a horror genre. I want something that makes it so that co-op is important to the gameplay, but also adds to the fear of it. And I always come down to like making your survival reliant on your partner can be terrifying. Like if your partner has to solve a puzzle while you fight something that is unkillable and you basically are on a clock trying your hardest to survive until they unlock the door, that can be really fucking scary. Like all you either hide or you fight or whatever, like that can be scary.
Or terrifying if your partner's an idiot.
Yeah, if your partner's a complete asshole, like terrifying.
Could be cool, but man, can you imagine the griefing?
Oh yeah, no, you'd only play with people that you were like friends with.
Right? So
Yeah.
yeah, Redfall does have a little bit of that. I can't tell if it's trying to be like scary or more Lost Boys,
I
which I imagine there's probably a little bit of Lost Boys, in there as well.
There's no humor that they show really. Like
Yeah.
so I wonder if they're like I don't know what the tone really is yet. And I think
The
that works
only
against them.
yeah, I think the biggest thing kind of like vampires are just sort of ghouls in this, and that's fine because that's totally like a take on
Right.
vampires. But there's another part of it where they were talking about like there's safe houses all throughout the neighborhoods and blah blah. I'm like, so it's kind of a zombie game where you supplemented
Left for
zombies
Dead.
with vampires.
It's got Left for Dead.
Isms,
Excuse me.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I at least it's not. I'll just say at least it's not zombies. I mean, we just got like Back for Blood, and that was quickly forgotten about. But like,
Right.
shit, I bought it. But,
I played the hell of it. I got to a certain point where like I kept getting glitched to get this like MacGuffin to this one door, and it's like hordes constantly fighting you until you can get, I think it's like a propane tank that you have to shut down this one area with. And if you don't get it exactly against the door and it's uphill, like you get screwed. I did it like 3 times. I was like, all right, fuck it. That's where I stopped. But I liked it all the way up until then. Back for Blood was great.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a nice thing. It's a nice addition to Game Pass. It's got a release date of May 2nd. I think that's probably the most important thing. It's 10 days, 10 or 14 days before. I think it's 14 days, 2 weeks before Zelda. Get all your vampire looting out before Zelda hits. For those who have 2 systems. I'm glad it has that date, although again, May seems like a very long time. But it wasn't the only game to get, release dates. Now, of all the games in the show, I can't remember when they said the Elder Scrolls Online shit was coming out, and I'm not sure if that even matters.
the Necrom thing is
Whatever
coming
it
out
is.
in June. It's launching
June. I
in June.
thought it was June. Okay.
But all of ESO shit up until Necrom is on Game Pass right now. So if you want to
Right.
hop in, you can play all of it. Which
I
is
don't
cool
have
as
a
hell.
lot to say on that other than I think at this point you've got who you're going to get into Elder Scrolls Online.
I think
You're
Game
not
Pass
selling
changes
that
that
to
some.
anyone else. Like, A, it's an MMO, and B, it's a fucking Elder Scrolls MMO. With at this point, you're either in it or you're not.
I
It's
won't
been
lie
around for
though.
a
The
it's been
Mayrun's Dagon thing coming back to I was a little bit there was a little bit of Oblivion nostalgia for me.
yeah. Oh yeah, with the big demon guy.
Yeah, where I was like, oh,
Most I remember about Elder Scrolls Online was walking around downtown Seattle at PAX one year, and someone handed me a little container of ice cream that had Elder Scrolls theming on the container. I was like,
was it good ice cream?
just sitting there. Yeah, it was fine. I was like pecan or something. I was just eating Elder Scrolls
flavor.
ice cream. I'm like, okay.
Like they hand you pistachio and cockroach ice cream. They're all like, "Oh, it's Elder Scrolls." You're like, "God
Yeah.
damn it!" You gotta take the good with the bad with Elder Scrolls.
So yeah, I just it's nice. I'm sorry, it's nice that it's there, you know. But I can't. There's part of me that's just like I don't know who you're gonna get into this game that you haven't gotten into it by now. It's been around for a while, been around for a hot minute.
I do think that there's something to be said that they are introducing a totally new character with like a totally new play style and stuff, and it's only their third. How many years has it been going? That it's
A
only their
lot.
third. So it's like I don't know if that must be something very exciting for current players. I don't know if it's going to sell new people, but I'm fine with like I want people to be excited for it. I just don't particularly like MMOs that much.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I never really could truly get into them, and then
Well, it's
because
like
I've
14 is one of the best MMOs there is, and
yeah,
I could only play it for like 2 weeks before I was done.
yeah. Like I played 14 and I played WoW and I played 11 and whatever. I don't really have anything negative to say about them. I don't
Right.
know.
Just not they're not for me.
They didn't addict me like they did everyone else. So
Yeah, well, that's where it comes down to is like I don't get addicted to the grind, I guess.
yeah,
Like MMOs have like a grinding gameplay loop where like you finally achieve the level, you can get the loot you want, and now it's time to
yeah,
grind for the next thing. And grinding is often the thing I hate most.
yeah.
Um, I guess it feels like a little bit of a chore to me, but then again, like I know several people that the grind is the fun part.
It's the relaxation part. It's the Zen part.
Right. You just kind of like get into a flow.
It's kind of their Zen garden, if you will.
Yeah,
So
and they can have that. I am happy for them.
yeah,
It's not for me. So let's talk about probably our favorite thing from that. Let's jump into an overly positive thing. The new Tango game, which
yeah.
is
Hi-Fi
Hi-Fi
Rush.
Rush, out today. Tonight.
Shadow dropped. So it was
Yeah.
funny because like this was not on the list, and then when they started the thing, they literally added Tango and with a little redacted. So they're like, okay, we're gonna have a little surprise here, and then it was like there's this, and then it was some Shadow dropped.
In a million years, I didn't expect this to be what Tango was going to drop.
What Tango is up to. I'm actually glad because I've kind of been like, okay, like Tango can do more than just
Right.
spooky shit, right? Like,
To me, this is a very good sign that they're finally like that Microsoft or whoever is in charge of their development slate is finally like, oh yeah, we can make fun things too. I think that's a really good sign. And I almost picked up from Mikami that he was excited that this was a fun thing happening.
Oh yeah, because I mean, if anything, Mikami's probably fought his whole career against being pegged into a corner.
Right.
With like you're the Resident Evil guy, do Resident Evil stuff.
Yeah, I honestly I think that that's probably one of the most charming things about the whole presentation was seeing that Mikami was genuinely excited about this like early 2000s or mid 2000s nostalgia rush for me. Like it's a new thing, but it has like
Yeah,
a very beautiful Joe, like it pulls on those same strings for me where I'm like, "Oh, this is like just fun. It's not meant to be anything more than fun.
So it's
and
an action game that
a
you can
rhythm.
play like an action game, but it also has a whole rhythm aspect. But it's not like Crypt of the Necrodancer, where like you have to move in beat with the game music. No, you can freely move and attack and
This just
parry.
rewards you for
Yeah, it's just like you're going to get rewards and stuff, and like the game levels themselves, like elevators and stuff, move in rhythm. Like the world around you moves in it, but it's like you're not restricted on any sort of movement. It's like you kind of like the game's just it's encouraged to play the game in rhythm.
Right, and you can watch visual cues in the environment, even including it looks like your character snapping his fingers to
Mm,
get the beat that you should be going at for like making hits. I
yeah,
think that's pretty clever. That's pretty cool.
it
Um,
had a very nice clean look. I mean, cell shaded, obviously, but like it's
but it's
clean. It
done
doesn't have
well.
like this sort of like harsh like outlines of a lot of cell shaded games too. So
The main
that's
character, Chai, was like an anime Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future.
yeah, it was. That's what it is.
It was like it hit me. I was just like, "Why the fuck do I recognize this character? Why does this character feel so familiar and fun?" And then I was like, "Oh, it's Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future."
Yeah,
Um,
especially when you wanted to be a rock star.
yeah, I thought that was pretty great. I also thought that the humor was, like, again, like it doesn't take itself super seriously, and it looks like the main character is just having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
and
I
that's where I think a lot of the Sunset Overdrive
oh yeah.
comparisons come into play here, because that very much was Sunset Overdrive's kind of feel. Um, so I totally get that. Although this game looks a little more like focused, like it's like almost like a character action game, where
Yeah, oh
it's
yeah,
just like
with
it's not a sort of
platforming and stuff too.
yeah, it's not a free for all that Sunset Overdrive was. This is more of a sort of like very closer and focused to something like you know like a DMC or something like that, or a
Right.
Metal Gear Rising kind of something a little more like focused on one character, kind of like attacking small mobs at a time kind of thing.
And can we talk about how they somehow kept it secret?
Yeah, and that actually made that. Yeah, I got a chuckle out of the whole. The developers, Makami and John Johannes, was just like, assuming this hasn't leaked,
Right.
like this should be coming out, like they recorded it however long ago, and they're just kind of like, well, we're just gonna hope that you don't know about this yet.
They had to record that at least a few weeks ago.
Weeks, if not months, who knows? It's just like
I mean,
I
I
was
guess
just
it
like,
could have been done like a week ago.
it could have.
It
I
could have
just
been rush done, but a couple weeks ago, probably.
Yeah, it was just kind of like humorous to me, where it's just like it's not like they're just already anticipating now that shit's just gonna fucking leak.
Well, and they should, right? They should just anticipate that things are going to leak. It shouldn't be like the end of the world. I think
Yeah,
sometimes if a game looks like it's going to be bad, or it's like if Redfall leaked this stuff that we're talking about and it looked this harsh 2 years ago, that would have been a death knell. Like
mhm.
it could have killed them. But like most leaks are harmless. So,
um, yeah. I mean, they're more of a problem because they say they're a problem. Like,
right.
oh, people lose their jobs. I'm like, why do people lose their jobs? Because it leaked. Well, I'm like,
For no reason.
why does someone have to lose their job because someone else somewhere else leaked something to the internet? That just kind of seems just, I don't know, like there's a part of me that's just kind of like, oh, it's almost like vindictive on a corporate level to like just like punish people because they're personally upset something leaked.
I mean, negative leaks can affect a company's stock price, right?
Yeah,
And can
absolutely.
accidentally kill the product. But for the most part, even bad leaks is just going to get chatter,
Yeah. Well,
So
it's like there was that big GTA 6 leak. That ain't gonna affect fucking sales of GTA 6
eh,
at all.
no,
By
and
the
if
time that
anything,
game
people.
comes out, we'll have forgotten that even happened. Most of us already have anyways.
Yeah, the other day someone said something about. I was like, "Oh, you remember those huge leaks?" And I was like, "What? When did I forgot?" And we talked about it for hours.
Yeah,
Like it, Leaks are just not that big of a
But
deal.
that's GTA 6.
That's fair.
You know, you'd almost say it was more damaging when like people, disgruntled employees, were leaving Bethesda and saying that Starfield was turning into a disaster. You know, before it got delayed and stuff like that. And that's damaging to the game. I'm like, kind of, but like it's also, but you know, also in that case, it's like the game's not, it's a Bethesda game. I think most people know what they're getting into. You know, like how much forewarning did we have from Cyberpunk, you know, before it came out? Like
Right.
if that shit leaked, I mean, everyone knew about the game before it came out, but I mean, like, imagine it like gameplay leak. The gameplay probably did leak. There probably were leaks of gameplay. Like, oh, guys, this game's really bad. This game is like really unstable. 13 million people like still bought it in that month. I mean, you know,
Right.
granted, like a lot returned it, but like,
A lot returned it. Yeah.
but it's like people still rushed out to buy it, even with no matter, you know, almost no matter what the forewarnings were on it. I don't know. Like
I
I
think
know there's going to be cases of like a game getting leaked or footage getting leaked, and it kind of like sours the whole experience and ruins a whole game sales. Like I know there are examples of that out there somewhere. Um, you know, and
right.
it's not so much it's
One
not even
thing
so
to
much a
remember
leak,
though.
but I remember Brutal Legend when it came out that game was actually more of a Pikmin RTS thing than an action game that actually fucking murdered its sales. But that's more on the marketer
How
advertiser
they tried
side
to sell it. Yeah.
for basically advertising the thing as one thing when it never was that.
I think it's also important to remember that like the people paying attention to media of the games, like to like media coverage and reading Polygon, listening to this podcast, like that kind of stuff. The people who are going to be most interested in leaks, especially generally speaking, are in the minority of people who are going to buy games in general.
Yeah.
Like the average gamer, say, is a person who probably isn't paying that much attention to that kind of stuff, to leaks and stuff like that. You know, the vast majority of people who enjoy movies, for instance, don't read Variety. Like, they don't give a
Yeah.
shit about, you know, whatever they're talking about in Variety. Like,
And the vast
you know, they're not
majority
reading the
of
Hollywood
like
Reporter. They're not reading that shit.
yeah, like the vast majority of people who go to see Marvel movies,
Right.
they're not reading spoilers ahead of time.
And they're not reading the comics. They might look at the fucking Wikipedia. They might watch a YouTube video about the comics to get context and stuff. But like, uh, the vast majority of people enjoying Marvel movies do not care how accurate the movie is to the comics.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. If you care about that, you have to realize you are in the minority of
Like, I'm
people.
gonna be real here with you because you know they're setting up the Kang dynasty, and I'm like, who's Kang? Oh, Kang the Conqueror. Who's that? I don't care. I'll be real with you. I didn't know who that was, and I still don't care.
I care only because it's Jonathan Majors, and that dude, he's a great actor. Like, I love that actor. Also, he delivers a great line, probably one of the best lines in a Marvel property so far, where he sits on the desk and says, "You came to kill the devil." Kill the devil. Like, his delivery of that. Did you watch Loki?
That was Loki. No, I did not.
He jumps up onto the table as Loki's approaching him and trying to look menacing, and so all of a sudden he just clownishly goes, "So you came to kill the devil." And it's just like, it looks so like he doesn't give a shit. Like, it's probably the exact opposite of trying to be intimidating, and it makes him intimidating because it makes Loki, who is like used to being intimidating, suddenly stop and go, "Wait, why is this man not scared?"
Yeah.
Like, he feels nothing. But yeah, I'm excited because it's Jonathan Majors, but otherwise, like, I gotta be honest, all of phase 4, I haven't really given a shit. I thought the Sam Raimi Doctor Strange was fun.
It's
You know,
fun.
had like Raimiism horror
Yeah.
stuff in it that I liked. But like, I truly, I don't think I've ever really been invested in Marvel movies. And after Infinity Ward, it is hard to feel like they are ever going to capture that buildup again.
Yeah.
Now it just feels like content. Like, they're just like slopping it out, like, eat more content, folks. That kind of thing. Most of Disney properties are doing that. That's why Andor was so fucking crazy exciting.
Yeah.
And why
Yeah,
it
for
still
sure.
sticks with you.
Well, and that's kind of like the problem a little bit with Game Pass, where like it didn't feel like,
Yeah.
you know, there's content, and that's true, and there's a lot of content, but like I think people were waiting for more of the premium stuff, you know, and this was kind of, this developer direct was kind of like Microsoft's, I guess, first attempt to turn back the
Here's the
tides a
good
bit.
shit. Yeah. Well, I
Do I
wonder
think
how
they
many Game Pass
succeeded?
slots.
I'll look at this as basically, this is the first 6 months. Granted, Forza didn't have a release date.
Yeah, it's going to be holiday season. They said 2023, so that means end of 2023.
Yeah, it means end of 2020.
Yeah.
Exactly. But for the first 6 months, it's like, okay, so we have Hi-Fi Rush today, January, and then you had Minecraft Legends in April, and Redfall in May, and Elder Scrolls expansion in June. Is it enough? Well, I don't think any of these are hitting as hard as Horizon 2 or God of War Ragnarok. Forza
enough, though,
might hit as hard or better than GT7, Gran Turismo 7.
People seem amped for Forza,
but that is down in the fall, and it's like they're very happy about they're very excited about their sound design, and their cars get dirty. I guess what else are you gonna fucking talk about?
Yeah, like it's not like it would be like it's character driven.
Yeah, I mean, and like they're talking about, oh, we have like 3 terabytes of photogrammetry stuff per course, and
well, I did think that this was cool. They have 500 cars with 800 upgrades that change the look and performance of the car, which changes the sound. That is super impressive. The fact that the way the track reacts and how your car performs can be based on like ever-changing weather conditions and stuff like that. Like you may hop into a map you've played or a course you've played, 100 times, and today it's misting instead of raining, and it affects the way it like that is objectively technically cool.
Yes.
But driving games just aren't my jam, so it's hard for me to like gauge how exciting this is.
Yeah, and I hate the fact that they're just going back to calling it Forza Motorsport. Like they're dropping the number, just because it's been however many years since the last Forza Motorsport. This is not Horizon, because you have Forza Horizon 5.
It hints as games as a service or live services. It hints that
and then well, there is kind of the question of like, do they make a Forza Motorsport 2? Because there's or do they just kind of keep supporting this, which they've kind of been doing with Forza Horizon 5? Because Forza Horizon is the open world thing. They pick a location on the globe, they stick you in a car in it, and you kind of just you go around open world style, just doing shit at your leisure. Forza Motorsport is Gran Turismo. It is courses.
Right.
It is racing on those specific courses. It is building up money to buy more cars and more parts.
And racing is violent. It's a violent competition.
I wish it was, because this is very much, this is a sim. It's not arcadey. It's a sim. This is their simulator racing, experience for Xbox. It's next gen only, which is kind of nice that they're not even trying to make this work on Xbox One.
Right. And it's going to be 4K 60 out the gate.
Yeah. So
that's cool.
I think it's very good for the Forza Motorsport car. Unfortunately, this is, again, like you said, this is end of the year. This ain't coming in the next 6 months.
You know what I want? I want the Forza guys, with all the detail they put into the vehicles and into the driving mechanics and everything, I want them to make like a Road Rash or a Road Rage game.
Yeah, there you go. Well, or the Horizon people, because have like a big open style map and just go around Road Warrior style stealing gasoline.
Amazing. Would be fantastic. I would be in for that. Oddly enough, by the way, I was sort of taken aback by how interesting Minecraft Legends looked. Like Minecraft was never interested me.
StarCraft vibes. I'm like, this is StarCraft.
It had some very cool ideas that I was just kind of like, oh, we have a buddy, Justin, who loves tower defense. He and his kid play Minecraft together. They loved like the building, the tower defense, assaulting, like that kind of stuff. And he loves StarCraft, oddly enough. Like this game just felt like it was hand built for him and his kid to enjoy together. And I also learned
it's pronounced Mojang. Like there's like a Mojang Studios. I was like, I thought it was Mojang.
I also thought that. Wow. Mojang. What language? I have no idea. All right. Well, I think another cool thing about it is like PvE co-op plus PvP 4v4. Like you're gonna go ham. Like, I can really see kids enjoying the shit out of this game.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, apparently adults are enjoying the shit out of this game.
Honestly, I think this will be more of the Trojan horse for the RTS genre than something like, say, Pikmin. One, because this is more of a classic style RTS of building a base up, building resources up in a base, and then Zerg rushing,
Getting
the
mobs,
opponent.
yeah.
Because granted, it's a little more like, rather than this big overhead bird's eye view, it's actually, it's more down behind your character, which is kind of cool. But
yeah, but can your character die?
Like, in Minecraft Legends? That's a good question.
Yeah, so you're building the thing, and it's like, oh, I built this amazing bit, and your character dies, and you're out of the game. Like, what happened?
I want to say, yeah, of course. To me, I'm like, well, that's kind of how it has to be, right?
If win state is the destruction of your base, then shouldn't you be able to respond or respawn? I mean, like, I don't know. But again, it seems weird that a Minecraft game has piqued my interest. Where, like, I want to learn more about this Minecraft game because it does legitimately look fun. I still sort of hate the art style. I can't get past that, but it's much better than OG Minecraft, it seems to me. Although I haven't seen any updates to it. Like, I just remember the old version where everything's like pixelated blocks. And
well, I know they're still going because, I mean, it's still a fucking cash cow.
Huge game. Yeah. Well, I mean, do you know a single kid who doesn't love Minecraft?
Yeah, but I mean, there's plenty of kids who do.
Yeah, like, there's a lot of kids who love Minecraft. Like, they really play the hell out of it.
Kids love Minecraft the way that kids love Legos. It's like,
I also love Legos.
A kid who doesn't like Legos may not gravitate to Minecraft as much, and I understand them.
But see, I love Legos and Minecraft just like
a whole lot of kids love Legos. So
that's true. That's true. But yeah, out of everything that I saw of this this direct, the Forza for some reason seemed like it got the most love in the chat. Now, granted, normally I just ignore the chat, but I saw the chat while the Forza thing, and like they were like, "Oh, it's the only good game in the direct." And I was like, "How can you see Hi-Fi Rush and think Forza is the only good game?" I'll let you have it that, like, Forza's, your jam. Okay,
the only thing I can really think of there is that Forza is the only game pushing graphical boundaries, and I guess in this sort of dick measuring contest that is console warring, in the whole, like, arms race of power. Okay, sure, Forza Horizon is the one that's pushing the hardware the most. Right, none of the other games are even attempting to be, but like stylization is just kind of those weird things that kind of people never really think too much about. But like, my only response to that would just be like, yeah, because people are real fucking. It's like, I bought a Series X. It's better than a PS5. It's more powerful, and I'm gonna prove it to you because Microsoft's gonna show Forza Motorsport reboot, and it's gonna look better. It's gonna have terabytes of photogrammetry on every core. It's the best fucking game, and it's gonna look better than anything you've ever done and seen.
You see the texture of that ground? I'm gonna come so hard to the texture of that ground.
Nah. But yeah, that to me, that's the only thing I can think of is just kind of like people just want to get into that big old dick measuring contest on graphics and shit. So it's because so much of Microsoft's offerings don't have any graphical, pizzazz anymore. Like Redfall didn't. Hi-Fi Rush doesn't, even though I think it looks great. Minecraft,
great, yeah, but it doesn't push any boundaries.
Elder Scrolls don't fucking look anything special graphically. Starfield won't. Like, very little of Microsoft stuff looks like, holy fuck, like, graphically. So,
yeah, they don't have a Horizon or a God of War that makes you stop and go, that looks like a man.
Yeah, holy shit.
That's a robot T-Rex.
And that's what people want. People just want to see, like, money burning on screen, with graphical fidelity. So
I wish that wasn't true, but it is sort of true.
It is. I mean, why would anyone? Why do people buy like a 4090 or 4090 Ti or whatever the fuck?
I have a 3090 Founders Edition.
Yeah, when the 30 series was like a year old and no game actually took advantage of the hardware. It's like, of course, because people have like this weird fucking incessant need to be like, it has to be the best. My shit has to look realer than real. I don't want it to look like reality. I want it to look better than reality. I want the molecular structure of the polygon to be of a higher density than real molecules.
I want to smell the sweat coming off of Kratos' ass.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Give it to me.
So
See the glistening.
if anything, it was like, okay, why is Forza the one getting the highest praise? I'm like, it's probably graphic sounds. That are just like, it's the Forza crowd of, hey,
it reminds me of that like Great 98 talk that we had where like I think the reason why Hi-Fi Rush was like stood out so hard to me is it reminded me of that Great 98, that early 2000, like it reminded me of the best times. It made me suddenly like, oh, maybe this E3 is going to be exciting because games like Hi-Fi Rush are
yeah.
landing where you're going to have this sudden, I don't know, variety again.
That was the best, honestly. And that's like, if I was to like say, oh, Phil took me aside and said, so what'd you think of that? I'd be like, you know what? The best thing I could say is the variety. You had Hi-Fi Rush and Minecraft Legends and Redfall and Elder Scrolls and Forza. Those are 5 very different looking games, very different playing games. Like at
like
least
5 or 6 years ago, where it's like, and this is a shooter, and this is a shooter, and this is
not a cinematic sad dad walking sim. Like
this is a grumpy old man shooter. This is a grumpy old man shooter. This one is a slightly younger, but still grumpy, getting to old man shooter. Yeah, it's a fucking. Here's the 5th in the series of Gears of War. Here's the 5th in Halo. Here's the 5th in, this is like, oh, here's Hi-Fi Rush. It's something you've never really seen from us before. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Hell yes. Give that to me.
Yeah.
I want it.
It's the variety is good. And I kind of hope to see, more of the variety hour style coming forward for it. Because like that's, to me, that's more the key than, I mean, it is part of the key is they do need the big AAA,
Right.
you did put your big dick on the table kind of moments for Game Pass. They need that really badly. But Halo Infinite was not it. Halo Infinite has become a disaster. But
Right.
they also,
they wanted it to be,
and more importantly, they need to have a smattering of high quality variety hour stuff like Hi-Fi Rush, Minecraft Legends, whatever, because it's not going to appeal. None of these games are going to appeal to everyone, but collectively together, you're going to probably appeal to someone by just having this many different style of genres. Rather than one game trying to be all things for everyone, just have a whole bunch of different games, and it's that appeal to all the different areas of gamers.
I think something that like your blockbuster games, your AAA blockbuster games, they're gonna be crowd pleasers, right? Like going back to Horizon, Forbidden West. I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah.
Is it going to be my favorite game of the year? I don't know. In 10 years, am I going to go, oh, yeah, Horizon? Oh, is that going to be the game that I replay? Like, I don't know. But Hi-Fi Rush games like that are games that you get nostalgia for, that you remember in 10 years. So that when someone goes, oh, do you remember 2022? Or 2023 in this instance, do you remember 2023? And people will like list off all these games that were influential or crazy or great or like just like really made their weekend. Hi-Fi Rush is the type of game that gets listed in that.
Because it stands
not
out.
necessarily sad dad games.
Yeah.
Not that those games are bad or like are forgettable. They're not necessarily, but it's games like Hi-Fi Rush that get remembered for being a game, not for the story or for the impact or whatever.
Hey,
Like
and
you
the
get
other
remembered for
problem
being
with
a good game.
and I think another huge problem with shit like God of War, when I don't want to, I'm not shitting on God of War, but like the sequel or whatever happens to the game will kind of erase the last game. Like, not like, I don't want to say like, because people still absolutely remember all the fucking key moments in God of War 2018, but like you also kind of remember where the story went after that now.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of dulls a little bit of the impact. Like Horizon is probably a better example. Like, do you remember all the twists and turns in Horizon 1? And it's kind of like, well, kind of, sort of. I remember when Horizon 2 Space Bezos came back and you fought him. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like all the big emotional core beats of the story somehow can get sort of erased by the sequel, like either adding on to it or burying it or adding too much to it.
Right, and that's the curse of sequels is that you have to be bigger, badder, crazier than the first one in order to be memorable.
Hmm.
Look at the Die Hards, right? The first Die Hard is extremely contained when you, look at any of the other Die Hards, but especially like 4 and 5. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Where did they go there? Like, now, granted, you know, there's a Die Hard 2's whatever, but Die Hard 3, I think, is with a vengeance, right? Is
yeah,
with like super memorable. Love that. And that is technically a sprawling adventure, but it is still sort of a contained, intimate story between a few characters, just like in Nakatomi Tower.
yeah.
You look at like Live Free or Die Hard, and like I can't remember a fucking thing about it. Timothy Oliphant's the bad guy, I think, that I remember. And he's not a bad actor. He didn't do a bad job in that movie, but like, do you remember anything about him?
No, I remember at
But I
some
remember
point.
Hans Gruber a hell of a lot more.
Yeah, I remember at some point there's like a Harrier jump jet in one of these movies, and then only thing I remember mostly was just a discussion online where a film critic basically just said when 4 or 5 came out that Die Hard became the parody, or Die Hard became the thing that Die Hard 1 was kind of standing against. Because Die Hard 1, when it came out, it was a sort of a response to the over the topness of a lot of 80s action and
Mhm.
sci-fi by being very grounded, very
Right.
humanistic, very, and like they turned John McClane into like a super soldier or a superhero practically,
Right.
in 4 and 5, where he's just like he's flying, he's leaping jeeps into Harrier jump jets or some shit like that, or doing
Right.
crazy shit like that. And they're selling it. They're selling the movie on it. They're advertising it. It's like, oh my god, did you see that thing he did? And it's like,
He's 60 years old and he rolled out of a truck and didn't break his hip.
yeah, and it's like the
Crazy.
first movie is just
Yeah.
kind of like, holy shit, like this guy is way out of his fucking element.
Right.
Like he barely survives, skin of his teeth, feet get all fucked up from glass, kind of thing. Like, um, where it's like, yeah, like we remember the grounded sort of humanistic, take on, we remember John Connor pulling or not John Connor,
John
sorry,
McClane.
John McClane pulling glass shards out of his feet, talking, to the cop below on the walkie-talkie, more than we remember anything he did in 4 and 5. You
Right.
know,
And most sequels, like, granted, I guess Die Hard's kind of a bad example because Die Hard changed so much. But when you think
yeah,
about like the reason why James Cameron sequels tend to be so like knock it out of the park, bang up job, is
hmm,
like they don't just try to plaster over what worked in the first movie. They try to be their own movie, right?
yeah,
Aliens is its own movie compared to Alien.
yeah,
Judgment Day is its own movie compared to the first Terminator.
yeah, and they're a bit of a genre twist too.
Right. And a lot of sequels don't do that. And so I think that like in games where they go, oh yeah, this happened. Now we've got to build on that and make something bigger. We got to give you a bigger threat. We got to give you
Hmm.
bigger moments. It does kind of make it hard to remember the specifics of what you loved about that first game.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of like the risk you run with big AAA titles that are very cinematically story based shit.
Right. Um,
Like, do
I
you remember a
wonder,
lot of what happens in Uncharted 3, for example? You probably remember action sequences.
is that the one they go to Shangri-La?
No, that's 2.
Two's the Shangri-La.
Yeah,
So one is El Dorado. No, one
sort of. Yeah,
ish. Yeah. Two is Shangri-La. Three, I don't
in
remember.
the French
Four,
Quarter, they go to the Atlantis of the Sands.
oh yeah, I don't remember it at all. I played all of them back to back. Yeah, shit. Four though is good. You go after actual like a pirate country or pirate
Yeah,
city.
like a pirate nation off the coast of Madagascar.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's cool as hell. Like,
It was.
yeah. But you're right. There you do lose a lot in the
The
by the time you
constant
get to the fourth one.
one-upping, the constantly one-upping, adding more and more and more to the story and the lore and all that shit.
What you know, say what you will about Forza, like where I just said, like I don't understand why people were so amped about it. But the one upping that a game like Forza does compared to games like that, truly they can just focus on one upping like graphical performance and sound design and those things, like where maybe they are making giant leaps, but they don't. You don't have to care if anybody remembers the cool things about the last game, so long as you can build on it in the new game. And I
Yeah.
do think that maybe that's why.
Well, it's like I can't tell you what the difference between any of the, say, the Forza Motorsports are. And then the same with the Horizons. The only thing I can tell you with Horizons is one's in Australia and one's in Mexico and one's like I just remember the places I couldn't tell you gameplay wise what changes were between those games. But
Right, you drive.
however, for something like Forza Motorsport, that's not even the point.
Yeah, the point is to get, if you're really into cars, you can get horny about all the different stuff you can attach and do all that. Like if I was really into cars, this Forza would, really do it for me. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I have a couple buddies that are
I
really
mean,
into cars.
it's like
Would love it.
sports in a way where it's just like, well, you're just the same teams playing on the same fields every year. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. So
Right.
for Forza, like I feel like okay, you don't have to worry about like how much one upped or whatever did something get. I'm like, look, they're here to race cars around a race course. This is what you do. You add cars and racetracks, and that's what you do. Which is again surprising that this wasn't a live service title before, but maybe that's where they're going with the new Forza Motorsport. It's like, do they need to make a Forza Motorsport 2? No, they could they
Just
if
keep
your
adding shit.
foundation is solid enough, just keep fucking adding to it.
Right. Yeah. It's actually kind of maybe the best case for a live services game.
Yeah,
Where
especially
it's like,
since it's a Game Pass game, where it's like the point is to not have to. Well, we want people to spend $60. I'm like, that's not even Microsoft's goal anymore. They're not trying to get people to buy physical copies of their games anymore. Their goal is to get people to subscribe to Game Pass.
right. Just
So
keep subscribed.
just keep updating the one game because all you need is that subscription to stay there. That's all you're going for is that, or entice more people in to subscribe. You're not even trying. Again, it's not even trying to sell single units anymore. It's just trying to get people to subscribe to Game Pass.
Yeah, subscribe and stay subscribed because they want the consistent income. What do you think was the most we talked about the best thing, Hi-Fi Rush, and I I don't want to say that the most disappointing thing was Redfall because I feel like that's too harsh from what we've seen.
Disappointing is different. Well, like okay, like I wasn't really disappointed by anything. I don't think there was a disappointment
Right?
here.
It was pretty
Um,
good.
I would say
Good.
I personally don't care about Elder Scrolls Online, but I'm not.
But it wasn't like
It's not like they were trying to get me to care about Elder Scrolls Online either. So it's kind of like it's. I don't have the investment or time for MMOs, and if I did, it wouldn't be that game. I've never enjoyed an Elder Scrolls. It's not because it's not my thing. It's because I've played Elder Scrolls games, and I do not find their gameplay engaging. So
I was thinking about this towards the end of it. Is that this might be the first Microsoft announcement in a few years where they had something that I was legitimately like, oh, fuck yeah. And then and more than half of the things that they showed, I was at least interested in.
yeah.
It's like where Hi-Fi, yes. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, that's yes. But again, to pique my interest into Minecraft Legends, that sort of shocked me. I was,
Yeah.
Redfall, I don't know, I'm on the fence about because I'm hoping that
But if you have I don't know, do you have Game Pass?
Yeah, I do. I do have Game
So
Pass.
you have Game Pass.
I'm gonna
It
try
doesn't
it.
even fucking matter.
No,
you don't
that's
have to
true.
be on the
Yeah.
fence. You'll just try it when it comes out because it's not going to cost you anything extra.
Right.
So just check
Fair.
it out when it comes out. Cool. Like and that's why Game Pass is really truly so great because it's just kind of like I don't know how I feel about this game. Well, do you have the subscription? Yeah. Well, then who cares? Just play it when it comes out.
Yeah, no,
Like,
that's totally true. So
it's a great feeling, honestly.
It is great. Great Game Pass is fantastic. I sort of love it. But any closing thought on this direct? I figured we should end on the weird.
Okay, so they said there's going to be a dedicated Starfield direct sometime
But they didn't say when, right?
No.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much and Redfall being a May release and then all the other stuff having kind of like, well, Microsoft did coming like to sort of like twist the knife. Yeah, Microsoft's whole all these games will be out within 12 months. That was a fucking lie in regards to Starfield. because that's not making it out before June.
Right.
Straight up, and we pretty much know that now, unless they want to surprise us and say like Starfield comes out June 7th or some shit.
Or they announced that it's releasing at E3.
Yeah, like on the 365th day.
Right.
So that's but either way, other than that, which they say will get its own dedicated direct, which I'm hoping is like, February or March or something. That's good because one, no more Redfall for E3. They don't have to talk. They probably will, but they don't have to talk about Forza Motorsport again at E3. They probably will, but maybe this is like, okay, well, it could be just a little quick update or a teaser trailer or whatever. It's good because this is a palate cleanser, but a good palate cleanser, because this now makes it more exciting to go into E3 in June. Because okay, cool, Microsoft, you've kind of gotten this 6 month,
you've blown the load for this year. Now
okay,
tell
cool.
us.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
coming.
cool.
Yeah.
These are here, these are out, these are on. Okay, what do you like? It's almost setting them up more for like, okay, now you really got to have a knockout showing,
Yeah,
and I feel like they have to know that.
Right. If they have a really powerful showing at E3 this year, people are going to say like this is their comeback year.
Yeah.
If they fumble E3, if this tee up, if this this appetizer is followed by like a hot water soup, like nothing soup, it's going to be pretty disappointing, and it's only going to make the disappointment worse. Hopes were high, kind of thing. I don't know. It seems like they've spent the last several years, though, building to have like a real solid announcement. And especially with the companies about like Fable's got to be at E3 this year.
No, it's not.
It's gotta be.
I say it's not.
It's gotta be.
I was on my bingo card for the year. I'm like, Fable's going to be a fucking no show.
How dare you? Have faith. I want Fable to be there. I don't know. I think they are shaping up to have a very solid E3. I wonder how much any of these companies are going to participate, though.
Yeah, actually, that's the weirdest thing about E3 right now is we don't really know who's showing up as far as like going to the show, going to be there.
Yeah, they haven't really said a whole lot.
Yeah, we know they made some good moves and everything, but like it's been what, 3 years since they've had a showing, so you've got to. And Microsoft doesn't go to E3 because they own that whole fucking.
Yeah, they're not at E3, but they're across the street.
They're across the street on purpose,
right?
Which, cool, I guess. I don't know. I feel like this developer direct only set the standard higher for their E3 showing of like, okay, you're not gonna fucking talk about this shit anymore because it's gonna be out. Like, what are you gonna do? And honestly, like there was a leak this week which showed the actual sales numbers for hardware, for console, and I was almost surprised to learn that like Xbox wasn't as far behind the PS5 as I thought. However, Microsoft had an abysmal November this year for Xbox hardware sales, because basically what it is like, as PS5 supply came into the stores, you really saw like the Xbox just like.
Yeah, I also think though, given the various problems that are happening with the PS5 right now, that balance of power could shift. You could see a little bit of.
I mean, if anything, it's like you got to be like Green Goblin. You must strike at the heart. But like, yeah, we basically got a really good look at like what Microsoft's dealing with, and the fact is that like they've lost a lot of mind share to Sony. Like when PS5s are plentiful, people are buying PS5s over the Xbox 2-to-1, 3-to-1. So
I think they really need the console design is nicer too. It looks more impressive.
The PS5?
Yeah.
It definitely makes a statement. I'll give it that.
The PS5 looks more impressive than the Xbox. It does.
I guess. If you like showy consoles.
Oh, well, but otherwise it would just be a black box.
Like an Xbox?
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like if people didn't care about the aesthetics of it, the aesthetics matter. You know?
They sure do. They sure do, honestly. So but yeah, this is the good moment. Like this was a nice direct. This is a nice January thing. Like, hey, here's our next 6 months. Cool. Here's at least one good surprise. Set it up so like this is a layup. Let me put it that way. This is a layup. It's up to Microsoft to dunk it. At E3, but the layup's been set. This is not a drop ball. This is not a waste of time. This was a nice layup.
God, I hope they fall. I really hope they follow through.
It's time to slam. Welcome to the jam.
On that note, we have some producers to thank. Again, if you're interested in becoming a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Our producers for this episode are Scrunami, Croy35, HyperViper89, Ziggy Z, and Online Persona. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.